I woke up one morning with 2 sons as a single parent. I woke up one morning sleeping on an air mattress in a 2-bedroom apartment. I woke up one morning feeling sorry for myself. And I woke up every morning for 3 months saying, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? Until a mother looked at me one day and said, it makes all the difference in the world. You go into that bedroom, you look at those 2 boys. She said, they're a gift. She said, son, what you go through in life for the rest of your life will either make you bitter or better, stronger or weaker. She then paused and said, son, you're getting bitter. You're getting weaker. Please do not focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you do have. I said, Mom, it's not that easy. I said, look, she said, I don't care what you had, and I don't care what she has. What I care about is that you focus on the right thing. She said, tomorrow when you get on the airplane, I had taken a 3-month sabbatical. She said, tomorrow will be your first trip away from these boys in 3 months. Grandma will take good care of them. She said, but here's what's going to happen. You're going to sit down on a plane. You're going to fly to Denver. The person beside you is not going to know if you have $1 to your name. They're not going to know that you slept on an air mattress, and they're not going to know what kind of car you drive. She said, after 4 hours on a plane, all they're going to know is who you are. She said, don't wait for somebody else to make a difference. She said, it's always been you. She said, don't let circumstances define you. And then she looked at me, kissed me on the cheek, and said, bitter, better, stronger, weaker, son. I want you better and I want you stronger. The next day I called her. I was at the airport and I said, Mom, I don't think I can do this. And she said, listen, first person you see, first person on the airplane, just make their day. She said, I know you can do it. She said, you have a way of making people laugh. I walked on that airplane and mustered up as much strength as I could. Tears were still, I know, in my eyes. And I walked on and I said, oh, flight attendant, how you doing? I never forget her response. You are one perky man. I sat down and she asked me if I wanted something to drink, and I said, no, thank you. She asked me again. About an hour into the flight, I said, no, thank you. She came back a 3rd time and she said, and I quote, she said, may I ask you a personal question? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, are you okay? And I began to cry, and I said, I don't think I am. I said, I don't want to be bitter. She looked at me, she said, bitter? I said, I don't want to be. She said, you're probably one of the sweetest guys I've met so far this week. I said, there's no way. She goes, listen. She said, your heart's in the right place. She said, so I told her what was going on in my life. She stood there and she kind of teared up and she said, wow. She said, well, first of all, tell me what your mother said again. I said, my mom said it'll either make me bitter or better, stronger or weaker. She said, I got a feeling you're going to be a lot stronger, and you definitely will be never a bitter man. She said, it was an honor to meet you. And I said, you have no idea how much this meant to me. And I'm trying to keep composed, and I wasn't. She came back about 30 minutes later, before they gave the signal that we were going to land. She said, by the way, what do you do for a living? I looked at her and I smiled. I said, it's ironic you ask. I said, I work for a greeting card company. I officially never got allowed to write greeting cards because I was too bitter. I said, but I did make you one. She said, oh, she kind of went, oh, and I said, it's as good as I can do. She looked at it, and on the outside I had written, I wanted to make you something special. And then when you opened it up, it said, but I can't. You already are. Every woman's like, oh. And the guys are sitting there. I went to leave the plane, and she says to me, Mr. Gilliland. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I think you need a hug. Of course, I was single. So we hugged for about 6 minutes. And then I put my shirt back on. I just like hugging without my shirt. 11 years later, I walked off an airplane. Another airplane story, right? Walked off an airplane. Flight attendant looked at me and said, do you live in Pittsburgh? I said, yeah, I do. She said, do you work for a greeting card company? I said, oh, years ago I used to. I said, I don't do that anymore. She said, would you wait in the gate area? I'd like to talk to you. I said, sure. I mean, I've been dating for 11 years, and a beautiful flight attendant wants to have me wait for her. Giddy up. Oops. So then I'm out there thinking, who is this? I'm trying to figure out, you've dated a while, you're thinking through your Rolodex of dating. I'm thinking, who is this? I'm thinking, no, that was American Airlines. Is this the one I went out for ice and I never went back? Don't look at me like that. Don't tell me you've never had a relationship that you didn't want to go for ice and go, okay, I'm out of here. I didn't do it, by the way. And finally, a flight attendant came off the plane, pulling her rollerboard, tears streaming down her face as she fanned herself. And I said, my first words were, oh my God, are you okay? And she said, I've never been better. She said, these are happy tears. She said, I have been looking for you for 7 years. I said, 7 years? She said, she reached in her rollerboard. She said, you gave me this 11 years ago. I said, oh my gosh, the flight attendant, Denver. I said, but wait a minute, you said 11 years ago I gave this to you, and I said, what's 7 years? Meanwhile, my humor kicks in, and I'm thinking, Lord, please tell me I don't have a child that's 7 years old. Yeah, that'd be a bad day. She said, 4 years after I met you, my world ended. 4 years after I met you. She said, my dreams were shattered. She said, I've looked for you for 7 years to tell you that if I ever saw you again, I need you to know something. I need you to know that a woman who I've never met absolutely changed my life. A woman I've never met is the reason why I still taught Sunday school through the darkest hour of my life. A woman who I've never met is the reason I've ever said a negative thing about the boy's ex-father, my ex-husband. She said, your mother has influenced the lives of thousands of people, and I've never once met her. I have something I'd like to give you to give to her. She pulled out the manifest from the flight. If you don't know what the manifest is, it has a list of all the passengers. I looked and I saw Gilliland, Stephen P., 3D. I began to tear up and I said, this was the manifest from 11 years ago, the plane. I said, and you saved it? She said, it's because of what I wrote on the back of it. And when I turned it over, it said, bitter, better, stronger, weaker. She'd X'd out bitter and weaker. She said, I've carried this for 11 years. She said, I'm stronger and I'm better. She said, because of your mom. She said, would you give this to her? And at that moment, I did what any guy my age would do when he was standing in front of a beautiful woman with no ring in her finger. I called my mom. I told my mother that story, and my mother said, any woman that would look for you for 7 days. Ladies and gentlemen, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina because the U.S. Airways flight attendant named Diane, who gave me that manifest, is my wife.